Hi guys, it's Terry here, and I have no idea what this video is going to be called. I'll figure it out later on. Anyway, I'm going to do two things on this video. One, I'm in my truck right now, and we're going to go see my new studio. And but I'm also going to answer a letter, and this letter is from a woman named Marina. And I'm going to read the email, and then we're going to start driving. So she says, my name is Mariana, and I'm from Bulgaria, and she's 35. And she says, I'm listening and watching your YouTube videos for days, and then she gives me a lot of compliments, which I'm not going to read, because that would be pretty lame, right? I decided to write to you because I have this feeling deep inside that I really found you for a reason. And let's see, I'm going to skip down. The thing is that I'm facing the biggest challenge in my career. I'm about to leave a good and comfortable job as a graphic designer in an advertising company with a very good salary. Finally start working on my own projects, and what I really want to do is go back to drawing again. I have a master's degree in graphics from the Bulgarian Academy of Art, but after that my career path took me to not drawing at all. She's been basically, I'm going to paraphrase it here, she's been working for other people doing projects that, you know, they want to do, that they want her to do at work and things like that, and so she's completely stopped drawing. Then she says, but I have this wonderful idea for a children's book, and it's a family story, and I'm not going to read because it might be too personal, what the children's book story idea is. That everybody loves it, that she's read it too, and she's encouraged to do it. She says, all this sounds great, and I feel inspired and motivated, and I really see it as my thing until the moment when I sit in front of a blank sheet of paper. You see, that's why I've decided to turn to you personally to ask for your advice. How do you get unstuck? Have you been in a similar situation? I have the greatest motivation, and yet I have this fear of starting this project. Maybe my expectations about it are too high, and I'm afraid that it will fail, that I will fail, and how to find my own style. Can you give me advice about that? I'm afraid that if I look at other artists' work, I'll go in the same styles, because that's what I've been doing until now. The customer likes certain styles, and I'm like a chameleon. Okay, so she's good at doing other people's styles, but still I have to look and and learn, because I haven't done children's illustrations until now. Actually, in the meanwhile, I'm writing this letter. Let's see. Okay, so she found on our SVS, she said she found our battling creative block, and actually when we recorded that, we screwed up on GoToMeeting. Something went wrong and it didn't record, so we re-recorded it and it's uploaded now. So she's saying, I know you did that webinar, but I can't find it anywhere. So anyway, that's up there on our site right now. And then she goes on to say that she was an animator after graduating the academy, concept designer for movie industry. So she's done a lot. She's been an art director for 8 years. I'm going to skip through some of this. I love these nice long letters because it's really sincere. She's like, says this letter already became too long. So basically, yeah, how to get unstuck, how to move forward from this situation. Let's talk about it. All right, so I see this problem. Basically, I see that there's basically two problems here, or possibly two problems. One is that you're stuck and that you're afraid to fail, and the other one is style. And I don't know, Mariana, which one is the bigger problem, if they're both equal, or if there's just one problem and not the other. But I'm going to talk about both really quick. And we've talked about these things before on my channel, and we also have talked about them both in that battling creative block and finding your artistic style, which are two webinars that are found on our SVS Learn site. So for any of you guys that want to go deep, we go a lot deeper into those subjects in those webinars. the first one, let's talk about being afraid to fail. I feel like I've always felt like I have a huge advantage in that realm because I failed so much in my schooling that I got used to being a failure, basically. And ironically, the more you fail, the more comfortable you get with failure, and the less you fail, the less comfortable you get with it. I also think that a lot of worrying about failure comes down to pride, and I don't think pride is a very good attribute. I think taking pride in your work is very different than being prideful. And the reason I say that is because if you were the only person on the earth, would you be afraid to fail? Probably not as much, because I think the reason that we're afraid to fail is because we're afraid of what other people will think of us, and that's paralyzing. And we're not so much afraid of the failure as we are of what people will think, and I think you have to somehow get to a comfortable place, and we talk about this in that webinar, of pushing those people aside and not caring. That's a hard thing to do if you're someone who has never been comfortable with it. I've always tried new things, and I've just always felt like, well, the worst that can happen is I could fail again. And so I've rarely been paralyzed by that. So I don't really know what that feels like to be on the other side. I have a sister who got straight A's in school, and she was afraid to fail, you know, on the other side of that thing. And so she's very calculated and very planned out, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But art is one of those things where you really have to push and nudge and try and experiment. And experimentation comes with, I mean, failure and experimentation go hand in hand, right? I remember I once was at the beach, and I decided that I wanted to fly a two-line kite, a stunt kite. And I had never flown one before, and no one showed me how, but I had watched other people do it, and I knew that if you pulled hard, or if you pulled on the right string, the kite would turn to the right, and if you pulled on the left string, the kite would turn to the left. And every time I tried to launch it, the kite would just make a 180-degree turn and crash into the ground. It wouldn't even get off the ground. It would just basically roll over and end up on the ground. And I finally figured out that I'm going to have to yank both strings, not yank, but pull on both strings back and forth in order to get the feel of how this thing is even going, because it would just flip over, and I wasn't ever getting far enough to be able to actually feel what the kite was doing and how to steer it and how to guide it. That's a lot like a painting, you know, or a drawing. You have to start making marks in order to massage and steer and control those marks into something that you like. And almost every painting and every drawing that you go through goes through that ugly stage, right? Where you're looking at it and you're going, I might just have to scrap this because this is not looking good. This is not turning out. And then a lot of times you fight through that. I mean, sometimes it crashes and burns, obviously, right? But sometimes you fight through it and you go, oh my gosh, this thing is really turning out. I was almost ready to scrap it, and now this is one of the best drawings I've ever done. And so you really have to learn by doing. So that's the first part on failure. Now, the second part, I would say, I'm going to move the camera over to this hand so that my hand doesn't get as tired. The other part of that is the style part, and I can see, like, if being afraid to fail is only because in your mind failure is copying someone else's style, then the advice that I would give to you would be, one, watch the webinar on, and also Marianne is already a subscriber, so it's free for her. Watch the webinar on finding your artistic style, because there's a lot in there. But just really shortly, I'll say that you know, if you've been copying other people's styles, that's great because you're learning a lot. But make a list of maybe 3, 4, or 5 illustrators that you just absolutely love, and write down the attributes that you love about each one, but more specifically the things that are different about each one that you like. Okay, so let's say one artist is it has a really graceful line, okay, and you just really love those really graceful lines, and maybe another artist has really nice color transitions from one color to another, really nice smooth blends of color, and you really like that, and so, you know, you're gonna, the idea is that you're gonna copy certain attributes, but you're not gonna copy the whole style, and you're gonna basically come up with a recipe, and at first it's gonna feel forced. You know, at first you're gonna, you know, it might not work. You might try to combine things that just don't work together either. But that's how a lot of people kind of generate their own styles, is they identify those things that they like, and then they start to incorporate those things, and you'll be able to see certain influences from different artists in that artist's work, right? You'll be able to say, well, I bet they're influenced by this artist, and that's okay, because the amalgam of those different traits can be your own style, you know. And over time, you'll look at those artists, your influences less and less, or you'll start looking at other influences, other artists' work, and that'll start to creep into your work as well. So, I guess what I'm trying to say here is make a game plan, and you know, and that, for me, that would include identifying those things that you really love, so that the combination of them are going to be different than any one person, so that you're not going to go, oh, I'm just copying this other person's style, you know. Make a game plan and start to execute it, and you don't have to show it to anybody. So if you fail, you know, you're the only person that you're going to let down. But I mean, that's what being an artist is. Being an artist is very frustrating, because it's not creating actual, like, real art is an art. I mean, it's not a calculable thing. It's not like solving a math problem where you just do it, you know. I mean, sometimes you do it and it doesn't work. Sometimes, and I still have pieces that I'll do, and I'm like, it's okay, it's passable, it fits in my style. It's not going in my portfolio. And that's just the way that is. I really hope this helps. And again, watch the Battling Creative Block video, and also the Finding Your Artistic Style on svslearn.com. Now I'm almost here to the new studio. Let's go in, and I'll finish driving, and then we'll go take a look at that. Okay, so I'm here now, and this is the building. Doesn't look like much yet, and that's because it's a work in progress. This is it's a building that's been set aside for video companies only, and so SBS has now got a new building and a new office space, and now also some of the company, like this is it's a sound studio, so that we can shoot videos and have it be totally quiet in there. There's offices. A lot of people haven't moved in yet. It's got kind of an industrial feel to it. And then, like in here, this is actually going to be the Harmon Brothers, where they've shot videos like the Squatty Potty and Poopery, you know, the woman sitting on the toilet with the cows all around. And this is our place up here. I see one Mr. Jake Parker in the background there.
How's everybody doing?
Yeah, so this is our new place. What time did you get here?
10 minutes, 15 minutes ago.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
So this is my office over here. And this is Jake's space over here. And then we got a space for Aaron, Tanner, Lisa, and Lee, if he'll ever get here. This will be Lee's office. We're putting him over here. This is where we're throwing all the junk right now. So, yeah, that's it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.